Hey everybody, I just wanted to give you an update on what's happening in room 681. So as some of you may have heard, we're considering repurposing room 681 and wanted to give you an overview of some of our considerations for this project and also to present you with some ideas, and of course we welcome your feedback about this. We've tried to include teachers and students as much as possible in the process of redesigning 681, so your feedback is important. So the goal in redesigning 681 was to redesign it with you and not for you. In order to do this, we used a process called design thinking. And the guy in the mustache that you see there is David Kelly, and David Kelly is the founder of a design firm in Palo Alto called IDEO. And David Kelly is also a professor at Stanford's D School, which is their School of Design. And both these organizations have really evangelized the process of design thinking to the world. And what design thinking is a process for problem solving that is user-centered. And the idea is that before you can design a solution for someone, you have to have a deep understanding of their needs. So we tried to do that. We tried to have a deep understanding of the needs of our faculty and students when we were thinking about this room. And we tried to think of who would give us the most interesting perspective about 681. And what we determined is that the people with the most interesting perspective are extreme users. So we tried to think in terms of extremes, people who are either using the library a lot and the computer lab a lot, or people who are not using that space at all. So we narrowed it down to the following 8 types of people. A teacher who brings their class to computer lab a lot, and a teacher who doesn't. A teacher who brings their class to the library a lot, and a teacher who doesn't. An upperclassman and a lowerclassman who are in the library a lot and using the library, and then an upperclassman and a lowerclassman who are not using the library very much. So we invited these participants to interview in a space near room 681 and also in the library. We really wanted to immerse ourselves in context so that during the interview people could kind of visualize the spaces. We try to choose questions that would get to the heart of the problem and encourage people to tell a story. So we wanted to avoid yes or no questions when we were coming up with questions. Started very specific with the questions and then went broad. So we started with some very basic questions about how they were currently using these spaces and ended with some more broad questions such as what if scenarios. Questions vary according to the individual, but they included the following. How are you using the computer lab? What frustrates you about using the computer lab? What would need to change in order for you to use these spaces more frequently? What about the library and the computer lab makes it different from other spaces in the school? Why do you use these spaces? Etc. And finally, the big question, complete the following sentence. Instead of a computer lab, I wish we used 681 as a space too. So got a lot of information as a result of these interviews. And next I try to create a profile of these users, including their current use of the library and 681, also their needs and frustrations. And I tried to define these insights and look for themes in these in the data and identify patterns. I left this last one unblurry. This 9th or 10th grader wishes the library had a space where she could eat, and actually that came up pretty often, particularly from the students, that they wish that they could eat. It frustrates them that they can't do that in the library. I found that kind of funny. So here's what we found out as a result of all these interviews. Some of this you may know, some of this may be obvious, some of this was insightful in helping us to think about what we really need in this new space. So currently, the library is a space that's mostly used by upperclassmen. You cannot eat in there. The library is generally quieter than other spaces. However, it's still too loud for focusing on very serious work. It's used for socializing in small groups or students gathering to play games on computers. And students go online, and when they do, they watch YouTube videos, they look something up for a class, they check Facebook, make quick revisions to a paper, and also, of course, play games. NPR 5 is mostly underclassmen. It's a very loud space, it's social, it can be crowded. There's crappy furniture there, and there's not enough furniture. And big plus, you can eat in NPR 5. So what do we need in new space? And again, these recommendations come from the information that we gathered in the interviews. And this is kind of, we definitely noticed some patterns and some overlap in the needs of the people we interviewed. So we needed a new space that is quiet. We need a space where small groups and clubs can work together. For example, a college counselor with a few students, an exposure meeting, a teacher workshop, an essay with a student, etc. We need a space that is easy to schedule. People said that there was some confusion now about how to schedule the computer lab. We need technology that's not available elsewhere, like printers, scanners, audio-video equipment, etc. Space to ideally eat and get work done, and appeal to super students. So we noticed that kind of our super students are the ones really using the library space right now, so we might need a space tailored to them as an extension. So Seth and I tried to find some pictures that we thought looked like spaces that might fit some of this criteria, and here are a few examples. And after that, we began the process of ideation. So in ideation, we tried to prototype some ideas for the space that we thought would meet these needs. And this is a prototype that Seth came up with. And I'm going to go through these quickly because we're going to put this information on the website so you can access it and it really break down these models in greater detail. And again, we really welcome your feedback. So this is Seth's model. This is a prototype that I came up with. And I'm going to push right through these slides because I'd like you to visit the website. And there's some other considerations that we have if we redesign 681. We would need to create and publicize an easy-to-use calendar so that teachers can reserve computer stations in the library for their classes. We need to ensure that there are enough computers in the library for a full class. We need to have math classes test drive the library as an alternative before we make the switch. We need to create and publicize an easy-to-use calendar for teachers and registered clubs so that they can reserve 681. And we need to look into creating a quiet space in the library or quiet hours, especially if a class is using the library. So, we need your help. We are now in the exploration phase. We have some prototypes. Seth and I have come up with some prototypes, and we'd really like you to help us to refine these ideas. So please visit phaseihstech.wordpress.com. We're going to post these prototypes there as well as some information about them. And we'd really like you to, again, share some of your insights about how we can make 681 a space that you and your students will find useful. Thank you very much.